What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of First and 56. Rondo Griffin, Anthony Glue, Marcus Martin, your host as always. Coming to you at the end of the season. Playoffs are kicking off as we speak at right now. Didn't end. Obviously, the season didn't go the way any of us expected it to. Finishing at the bottom of the standings in terms of the entire league, officially picking number 4 in the NFL draft. Guys, the season was an absolute utter destruction, demolition, any negative adjective you can think of. That's basically what happened. I'm not even going to get into obviously our previews coming into the season and where we ended because I'm pretty sure no one saw this coming. Marcus, I'm going to go to you. The season's over. Is there anything you can take from this year and look towards next year with it?
I think the way the season ended, I was kind of disappointed. I was kind of upset. What we actually can take from it is we can hope that Chris Ballard does a pretty good job in the draft. Maybe bring back some key free agents that we need, and we can also take ownership and responsibility for the way that the season ended.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much you can kind of honestly say about how it ended. And I think the way it ended, losing to the Texans in that fashion, kind of just really stereotyped how the entire year was. I mean, because I don't know about you guys. I mean, I didn't really even watch the game much. I'll be honest. I had Red Zone on. If the Colts happen to show up, cool. But like normally, I kind of purposely set a TV just for that game. Not that week. So I was like, Marcus kind of put it in a whole. Gula, what about you? I mean, in the end of the season, how it ended. What do you take anything from this?
I don't know. Not really. I mean, just like Marcus said, I think you have to re-sign your key guys. But just the way the season ended, it's just a perfect storm. It just it was really just the icing on the cake to the end of the season. It couldn't have ended any better in a sense. I mean, like that's like for all of like the collapses throughout the year, like that was that's exactly how I thought the season would end. So I think you just got to re-sign your key guys, and just look towards the future in the draft at this point, because that's our next main focus.
Yeah, like I'm with both of you. And obviously, with that game coming into the game, we were slotted at number 5. We could only go up. Losing the game, vault us into 4. We had a potential to go to 3, but Arizona couldn't obviously pull through for us. So you're picking 4th in the draft at the top spot, and especially in this year's draft, the talk has been there's 3 quarterbacks who could all potentially go number 1. I've said it. It's a great position because obviously we need a quarterback. And it's a draft where there's quality guys. We're going to get somebody. I have no fear of anyone underneath us vaulting over us. But Gulick and Mark, both you kind of said something about signing free agents. So obviously, I've got a running list of who we have as expired free agents. It's a long list. I'm not going to name all of them. Marcus, I'll start with you again. Is there a name or two where it is imperative that we bring this guy back? Or are you in the sense of, maybe you just let everybody walk because we are obviously getting a new coach. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And we're hopefully getting a new quarterback. So maybe it's time to just start anew and let all those free agents walk.
No, definitely. I don't think that we should let them all walk. I mean, there's quite a few that I think that could go that didn't meet expectations during the season. I'm not real sure. I can't remember if I'm correct or not, but I would definitely bring back Isaiah Rodgers. I don't know I think he's a free agent this year, if I'm not mistaken. That's one.
No, we have 20. He's not one of them, so he's
not one of them.
He's good.
Okay. Not real sure. I don't even have a list of name of free agents. So who we have so far?
Paris.
Yeah, the biggest names: Yannick Ngakoue, Paris Campbell, Ashton Doolin, Bobby Okereke, EJ Speed, Deion Jackson, Chase McLaughlin. Those are probably about the biggest names on there. Everyone else is kind of like bench warmer.
I would definitely bring back Unique and Bobby Okereke.
Okay.
Definitely those two. They were real big aspirations to the defense, real big names to the defense. They helped out a lot in the run game, and unique, especially in the sack ratio in the sack game. So those two right there for me that important. If I was Chris Ballard, that'd be the first two free agents I bring back.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. Gulag, I'll jump to you. Is there any name where it's like you got to bring that guy back, or again, is it like can you just let, like I said, I counted 20? Can you let the majority of those guys walk?
I mean, there's just three guys in my opinion. One I think is EJ Speed. I think he makes a huge impact on special teams, and you know, special teams is one of those things where you don't really notice them. It's just like offensive linemen. Like you don't really notice them. Like if things just function, but like if they stand out, like they really stand out. And I think EJ Speed is one of those guys on special teams that really stands out. So I would bring back him. Um, I would bring back Bobby Okereke. He's been big, especially in our linebacking core. And lastly, he's proved me wrong. I'd bring back Paris Campbell. A lot of us, um, a lot of us are wanting this kid from Ohio State. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna want to play with the receiver from Ohio State, and that's a big attracting factor in my opinion. So I think I'd also bring back Paris, and he definitely he proved me wrong, not in the sense of just production, but also playing all 17 games. I think he definitely proved me wrong in that sense. So just his health alone, it was a big stepping stone. I don't think he's earned like a huge contract or anything. Like not. I mean, he's not definitely worth like veterans minimum, but he's not worth say like 10 or 20 million a year. But he's definitely worth an extension in my opinion. So I think I'd bring back Paris Campbell on the offensive side.
Yeah, so maybe I'm the weird one, but like the list of 20, I think there's a lot of guys, even the big name guys that you let them go. Like, call it controversial. I think you let Bobby walk. I mean, it's just like you're getting Leonard back, ideally and hopefully fully healthy. As we saw in the preseason, just depth charts, they're moving him to the mic, which was Bobby's original
Yeah.
position, obviously. So I think you can let him go because of the emergence of EJ Speed. So you bring back EJ Speed. Now you're starting three in terms of the linebacker position is Zaire, Leonard, and Speed. You're going to have to find, obviously, and I have trust in Ballard. You could find someone in the late rounds to essentially take over the EJ Speed role on special teams. But I think you let Bobby go. Obviously, no discredit to him, but I think you're going to get outpriced. He's going to hit the open market, and I think a team that's going to have a bigger pressing need is going to just, drop the blank check on him. And while he's a great player and obviously love him on the team, I don't think he's worth the value that someone else is going to pay. And even on Campbell proved me wrong this year as well, but I still say you let him walk. Against the same thing. If he wants to come back on a team-friendly deal, sure, I'm for it. He shut me up. He proved me wrong. He played great this year. And at times, there was games where he was our best receiver. But with that all being said, what he brings to this team, what he can do, I think you can find at an equivalent or maybe even better, and you can find it for cheaper. Ideally via the draft, I think a day 2 or day 3 guy can come in and do what he's basically done. Obviously, it's great for him. I will say that with this season, he has extended his NFL career. I definitely came in saying that this is probably his last season in an NFL uniform unless he shows something serious, which he did. But again, similar to Bobby, I think someone is probably going to outprice us, and I don't think he's worth the bidding war. But so who I'm bringing back? You're bringing back EJ Speed. You got to bring back Yannick Ngakoue, and you got to bring back Chase McLaughlin because like as a young kicker, and we saw the hot rod debacle, we saw the last seasons of Vinatieri debacle. Chase was absolute money, and if you didn't bring back Bagley the year before that, Chase came in, maybe wasn't performed to that level, but was consistency enough, and that's all you ever want from your kicker. So I think those are the three that you bring back. There's some lower guys like Tyquan Lewis, maybe bring him back for cheap. Ashton Doolin, sure. But in terms of the big names, I think that's the big three for sure. It's Yannick, Speed, and it's Chase McLaughlin.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree to one exception with Paris. And I'm actually going to agree with you, Rondo, on that. Unless you bring Paris back with a prove it deal, not really give him a 3 or 4 year deal for $30-40 million. I give him a prove it deal for maybe another year just to see, what kind of quarterback that we can get out of the draft and pair him up with. And then if he can make it, if he can come through next season and put up some big numbers, then, we'll look into give him an extension. But yeah, I definitely give him a prove it deal. I wouldn't let him walk, but I definitely give him a prove it deal.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, has he's earned a second contract from somebody. I don't necessarily think it's us. And I'm with you again. I'm not going to overpay for him. On our team as currently constructed, he's a wide receiver 3. Because of this season, he can probably go somewhere else and be a wide receiver 2. I just don't see that being in an Indianapolis Colts uniform.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. So with that, just for funsies, because there's 2 names on his free agent list. You guys don't want to bring them back? What about Matt Pryor and Brandon Facecon? No?
Oh God, nope.
Definitely a no.
Nope. He can walk out that. Matt Pryor can walk out that same door that Julian Davenport walked out of.
Absolutely, and face he can go right behind him. Yeah, definitely for sure. Not bring them guys back.
No. I mean, especially if Gus Bradley is no longer the defensive coordinator next year, that eliminates like all of the Isaiah Rodgers slander. I'm not taking it anymore. He's getting all the PT next year. Nobody.
That was just so weird, especially with again going back to last season. I just like how I said Campbell sometimes our best dreams this year. Go back to last season. Isaiah Rodgers was probably our best corner last year.
Yeah,
and then enter this season, and he basically is banished to the shadow realm until because of injuries forced to play. It makes absolutely no sense. And like I said, I'm not an X and O guy. I'm not really a field room guy. And obviously, I'm no NFL coach. But I got eyes. There's no business why he should not have been played as many snaps as he was.
Speaking of corners, isn't Kenny Moore restricted?
So I'm looking at it. I don't see him on here. So I don't.
He's got one more year on his deal.
He's not a name that sticks out, but I know that he's been looking for an extension. And like I saw he got emotional in the locker room after the last game because he said it might be his last game. So
he's got one more year. He's got one more year on his deal. But if it comes down to it, and we have to trade up to get the quarterback that we need, I'm pretty sure he's going to be involved in that trade. So I think that's the reason why he pretty much said what he said in the locker room or whatever. If it comes down to it, I'm hearing rumors that C.J. Stroud might even stay at Ohio State.
Yeah, that confuses me. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going, brother. Let's talk about that because I saw those same reports, and again, obviously, I'm not him, but it makes absolutely no sense to me. Your ceiling literally cannot get higher. Right. You're projected to go number 1, and if you don't go number 1, the farthest you probably fall is 4 to us.
Yeah.
If you wait for next year, you got the kid out of USC coming out.
Yeah.
I know there's another guy you're not a safe bet to go number 1 next season. If anything, it's safe for you to go this year if you're talking about going number 1. And even then, lastly, like I don't think you have anything else less to prove. I think you can only hurt your draft stock by going back to school.
The only report that I've been seeing is that he has the same agent as Deshaun Watson, and he doesn't want to end up in Houston. So that is the only deciding factor. Like I feel like he would be fine. Like he would definitely want to play for us, but it's just that factor of they've gone through 2 head coaches in 2 years. They don't really have receivers. Like if I was him, I wouldn't really want to play for Houston either. But at the same time, he's losing out on millions of dollars if he goes back.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's
I wouldn't
interesting.
Think. To me, I know he's I'll probably say he's number 1 in my eyes. He's number 1, and Bryce Young will be number 2. But I don't think he's Houston's style of quarterback. You know what I'm saying? I think Houston. If the Bears keep their first pick and get the kid out of Georgia, I think Houston takes Bryce Young. I don't think they hesitate. So I don't think he would probably have an issue with that if he did come out. I'm pretty sure, and like Chris Ballard said in his press conference, that if there's a quarterback that wows him and he feels that that's who they want and that's who they have to get, he has no problem with giving up whatever it takes to get that quarterback.
Yeah, so real quick, I got to pause because obviously I've got to mention a new call it a sponsor, call it whatever you want, a partnership. Officially, First and 56 has now joined a part with Sideline Sports. Normally, I'd insert the intro video here. Obviously, we're communicating with them, but Sideline Sports is officially the new owners of First 56. Combining with them, you're going to see a lot better stuff from us via them. A lot of more collabs, a lot of more connections. A big shout out to Sideline Sports. Give them a follow on Twitter at Sideline Report, the number 1. Again, you're going to see a lot more of stuff from us via them and vice versa. Obviously, great to have that partnership and thankful for them. JB, Ellis, a lot of you guys have been helpful in really getting us to where we've gotten now. But back to the conversation of the draft. So, Marcus, you mentioned how Ballard, you said, if there's a QB that wows him, he's not going to shy away from moving up. So this is the conversation that I've had early on. So we're picking at 4. Ahead of us, you've got Arizona, Houston, and Chicago. I've said that if anything, only Houston is going quarterback. What's your fear level of somebody underneath us jumping over to potentially 1? Because obviously there's talks Chicago might trade it and taking a quarterback. And does that scare you in any sense at all?
Absolutely not sitting at 4. Maybe at 5 where we was before we lost to Houston. Might have been a little bit of skeptical about somebody leapfrogging us. But as of right now at 4, to leapfrog us from 5 or 6 will take absolutely a lot of capital to get up to number 1. So as of right now, I have no fear. The only fear I have right now is who picks who and what quarterback does Chris Ballard like, because we all know that sometimes going into these drafts, we think he's going to pick one way and then he always turns around and picks another way. So that's my only fear right now.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it with Rondo a little bit. I mean, there's still, there was a few teams who scared me in like literally days ago, like Seattle was one. Before they announced that Geno Smith was coming back today for next season, they struck me as a team who maybe might want to trade up. They see that their roster is good. Maybe they want CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, and the Lions were another one. They have a high draft pick because the Rams sucked, but they're talking about Jared Goff as their guy. So hey, if he's their guy, then they're gonna roll with him. But besides those two teams, like last week scared me. They don't scare me anymore. I think that nobody's really going to jump us. If they really wanted somebody, would we jump somebody if we want our guy? I think that would happen. But I don't like if we stay put at 4, I don't think somebody trades with Arizona or even gives up the assets available, because I've seen all the press conferences from the GM of Chicago and his phone is ringing. But he's driving the price up. So I don't really think anybody jumps us, really.
Yeah, I've been on that same trend as well as both of you guys. Like sitting at 4, I've said it, there's absolutely no incentive for us to move up to 1. At 4, you're getting a quality guy. Mm-hmm. You don't, and I would say with this draft, that obviously the big 3 being Will Levis, Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud, I'll be content with any of them. I have a preference, obviously, but at 4, you're gonna get a quality guy no matter what. Essentially the only thing we could do that's gonna annoy the fire out of me is we trade down and then have to settle for somebody else.
Yeah,
but like sitting at 4, looking at teams, but like again, Chicago. Obviously, Chicago's not going quarterback. The only fear there is they trade. Houston. Now, I said that I think Mills is gonna keep his job, but I don't know. At 2, they might be obligated to just go quarterback. But even then, it doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt us. You take one guy, there's still plenty left. 3, Arizona, they've got a guy. They're going either defense or getting him another weapon. So I have no concern. And even with Seattle, even if we did not jump Seattle, I said Geno was going to be at least their guy for next year. I don't see them drafting a guy that would have been 4. Now it's at 5. And also they have 2 picks. So if they really want to get a quarterback, I feel like they can use the second one to get it later. So yeah. And Vegas at 7, they probably go quarterback. Atlanta at 8, maybe not. And then Carolina at 9. Carolina's probably the team that jumps to 1. But again, it goes back to what I just said, doesn't really hurt us at all. So we'll talk about that. Marcus, I think you talked about, you cited a little bit But now I'll just officially ask right now in January, and obviously many of things can change. Who's the guy you want drafted at number 4 for Indianapolis?
Well, I mean, I've been going back and forth between CJ and Will Levis. I mean, if you look at some of the tape, Will Levis remind me kind of a Brett Favre type of guy. He takes risks. He throws a lot of interceptions, but he also throws a lot of good passes, and he's got the body trait of Josh Allen. I mean, if you look at some of his tapes, the way he runs, the way he throws on the run, his rollouts and stuff. I mean, he the way he slings the ball is almost kind of like Josh Allen. Like his play type is basically like you're looking at Josh Allen. And then his gunslinger material, is more like a Brett Favre type. So he is gonna throw probably a lot of interceptions, and he's gonna take a lot of risks. CJ Stroud, real good pocket poise, not really a runner unless he has to. He's probably my more standout guy who I want. But if we don't get him, I will not be mad if we take Will.
I can see Gulick, same question. Who's the quarterback you ideally want?
It's hard for me. I would take any of the top 3. Ideally, though, I would go for CJ Stroud. Just because his frame is bigger than Bryce Young is. I'm a big fan of Bryce Young. It's just that his stature is so small. I mean, he looks just like a normal guy, just like us. In the NFL, he looks a lot smaller than everybody else, but he blends in with us. But Bryce Young, he makes really crazy throws. I mean, he's the first Alabama quarterback I've seen like in a while where I'm just like, wow. Jalen Hurts at Alabama, he didn't really pan out till he went to Oklahoma, in my opinion. And then Tua, he was a little overrated to me, and so I don't know. The jury's still out on me with Tua, but Bryce Young to me is he's a guy who's really lived up to the hype because he was a high recruit coming out of high school. I think he was like first or second recruit ranked overall, and he's been really really good. So I really do like Bryce Young. And then Will Levis, I'm a big fan of Levis as well. Just like Marcus said, he's this year's Josh Allen. He's built like Josh Allen, and his characteristics are very Josh Allen like. So it's a situation where he's not there yet, but with the right coaching and everything, like the intangibles are there. A lot of SEC, a lot of people who cover the SEC are very skeptical on this guy just because of his completion percentage and all this other junk. But it's just like Josh Allen was like coming out of college, his stats were actually worse coming out of a worse conference, but you can see the intangibles there and we can see where he is now, So Will Levis, I feel like he has the highest ceiling with the right coaching though. So for example, I feel like if Indy gets Will Levis, we could turn him into a superstar. But for example, if Carolina gets him, he could be a career bust. So under the right coaching, he could do well. But the other two, I feel like are more NFL ready. But I wouldn't be mad with any of the 3. A bunch of people are talking about Anthony Richardson. I feel like he's also got a very high ceiling, but he's not there yet either. So I'm just set on the top 3. Honestly, I'll take any of them at this point because it's better than what we have.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with there with both of y'all, except that obviously Will Levis is my QB1 as of right now. Again, will that change between now and April? Sure, it's well within a realm possibility. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. I'm okay. If we draft them, cool, no problem. If the decision was to me, I'm passing. I don't care. I've got an Ohio State bias and I've got an Alabama bias when it comes to the quarterback position. I said it time and time again. It's obviously easy to look good when you've got a 5-star O-line, 5-star receivers, 5-star running back, and you're playing against 3-star athletes on the other side. You don't ever face true competition until you really get into the playoff or the national championship. You obviously you mentioned Tua. Jalen Hurts, if anything, has been an exception to the rule. Typically, those quarterbacks from, as I call them, from big schools, they don't necessarily pan out when they make it to the league. My kind of bias has always been, give me a guy from a small program or a small football program. So with Will Levis, obviously Kentucky, not a small school, but they're a basketball school. They're not known for their football program. So that's why I'm saying bring him aboard. Anthony Richardson is ironically enough, is a guy I liked in the season. I've probably watched the most tape on him, but 4 is too high for him. So you're not going to take him there. I would absolutely love it because I think he has the highest ceiling out of all the quarterbacks in this draft, but you're not taking him at 4. And even then, my preseason pick of who I wanted, Grayson McCall, the Coastal Carolina quarterback, he's obviously not declaring. So you're not going to get him. And same thing, 4 is too high. So decision's up to me. I'm taking Will Levis, but I really with both of you guys, you take any of those top 3, top 4 quarterbacks as all the draft pundits have them. I think we're fine because of the new coaching we're going to get, which is actually going to segue into the last segment for this one. So obviously we know Frank Reich out, the Jeff Saturday project. I say mission accomplished. You got us in the top 5. Gulick, we're going to start with you this time. So far we have already interviewed a lot of candidates. We've still got plenty that we still have yet to interview, and even some names who haven't necessarily come our way, obviously Harbaugh and Sean Payton. So Gulick, same thing with the quarterback. You have your hands over the button. Who would you sign to take over this team and be the new head coach?
Yeah, who I would take. I'm really liking this kid Ben Johnson. I think he is the hot candidate right now. It's not like a real sexy name. I mean, people, were thinking like Sirianni was, a premature move, but I'm liking Ben Johnson, the coordinator from the Lions. He really revived Jared Goff's career. I mean, before this he looked like a bridge quarterback, but this year, especially their offense, they look really good. Dan Campbell, it's he's more of a motivator in my opinion. I mean, obviously he's a guy who's played the game, but Ben Johnson was in charge of the offense, and he made them look really good, especially Jamal Williams, guys like that. I mean, he led the league in rushing touchdowns, and he just schemes up very good plays for them. And the Lions had a very good offense throughout the year. I'm pretty sure they were top 10 throughout the year. So I would go with Ben Johnson. I feel like, everybody's searching for the next Sean McVay. Everybody's looking for that new young candidate. And although like my ideal choice would be Jim Harbaugh, I would love Jim Harbaugh. I think realistically, Ben Johnson's a guy that would come in and do well for us.
Yeah, I absolutely like it. He was on my short list, so I was absolutely ecstatic to find out that we had interviewed him. So I definitely would take that. Absolutely, you hit it on the nail with the Lions offense. You look at, they don't look special on paper. Like you said, he had them in the top 10. They put up points with, and I'd argue that on paper, our offensive pieces are better than what they have over there. So if he can do that with that offense, I can only imagine what he could do at the helm with the pieces that we have. Marcus, same question for you. So obviously you've got the controls. Who's your head coach for next year?
I was kind of happy when I read that Eric Bieniemy from Kansas City interviewed. I didn't even know he was actually on the list of candidates to be interviewed by us. But I think I'll take him. I mean, you look at that Kansas City offense and what him and the head coach over there has been able to do with, moving, players around. They've had, receiving pieces this year with a bunch. I mean, there's, Juju and some other players over there, pretty much basically no name players other than Juju, that they brought over at their wide receiver position, and they haven't been making it work with the way that the offense has been flowing. So if it was my pick and I'm hitting the button, I know he's been interviewed, 15 out of the 23 times already that head coaching positions have become available, and you kind of scratch your head and be like, what's going on in the interview process, the reason why they're not giving this guy a chance. I think he's done a hell of a job, with the offense in Kansas City. I think that offense is something that we need in Indy with the player talent that we do have. So if I'm pushing the button, I'm definitely going for him.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. He's like you mentioned, his name always pops up when there's head coaching vacancies, and yet he never is able to acquire one. Again, I don't think I would hate it. If I'm being for personal reasons, I don't want him purely on the side of that he's been available this whole time and no one's taken him. That kind of scares me a little bit. Maybe that's a red flag. I don't know. Maybe it's flip side of just Andy Reid doesn't want to let him go. So there's that, but like you mentioned, that offense always rolling. As you mentioned, they've got spare parts at receiver is Juju Smith-Schuster. I think Marquez Valdez-Scantlin taking their number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Sky Moore was irrelevant. Kadarius Toney was basically irrelevant. Obviously they got Mahomes, they got Kelsey, but at times you were talking to the number 1 offense in the league. I believe they finished in the top 5. So he always gets it done on the offensive side of the ball. And for us, again, we've been waiting for that. Frank Reich was supposed to be the offensive guru. Didn't really see it. Yeah, you can make the case about rolling to a quarterback, blah, blah, blah. We've been through all the excuses and whatnot. Bieniemy, at the end of the day, a good coach is a good coach. I think Bieniemy, again, being a good candidate, being underneath Andy Reid, and the Andy Reid coaching tree is one of the better ones in the league. So obviously, if you poach anyone off of him, I think you're obviously getting a good coach. Just to keep it separate, because I mean, both the names you mentioned, obviously Ben Johnson and high on Bieniemy. Again, I'm not going to hate it. The guy we interviewed, who I'll be interested to see, it's the Broncos defensive coordinator. I'm going to butcher this name. I'm going to try it. Ihiro Evero, the Broncos defensive coordinator. Obviously the Broncos, similar to us, destructive season. But that defense still churned out a top 3 performance.
Yes, it did.
Without Von Miller and without Bradley Chubb for nearly half the season. Obviously, they've got some nice, as though, Pat Surtain the second. They've got some quality studs over there. But to churn out a top 3 defensive effort without 2 of the better pass rushers in the league, let alone the fact of that, I think it's if the Broncos would have just scored 18 points in all their games, they make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That's defensive carry. So obviously we've talked about wanting an offensive guy, but I saw what our defense did this year, and I wasn't necessarily even a fan of our scheme per se. You give us that guy with our defensive pieces, and I'd venture to say again, on paper, we probably have better defensive players than the Broncos do. I feel like no one would even score on us. So, I mean, you bring him in, yeah, you still got to worry about the offense, but again, I think what we've all talked about is that this locker room needs new culture, and you need a new guy who obviously the key word has been accountability and changing the energy in the locker room. And, and lastly, as we talked about on the show throughout the entire season, this season was bad. The season before that ended badly. You've got to get somebody who's able to rally these guys and get them to buy into his system and understand that things are going to change and change for the better. And lastly, obviously, you've got to capitalize on the fact that our team is young. The nucleus is young. You've got to capitalize before they want to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that.
I agree with that too.
I definitely want to see a culture change. I'm hoping that whoever we select, whether it's defensive guy or offensive guy, that they just come in and, like you said, and just change the culture in the locker room. Just have these guys believing that, hey, this is what it is, and we're here to win. Jim Irsay sent a letter out to all the fans and stuff, and like he does every single year when when we're losing or whatever, he's dedicated to winning championships and blah 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 blah. I don't want to hear no more of that. I want to see results. I want to see things that happens on the field. I want to see guys jumping up, high-fiving, protecting their players, not letting people making snow angels in front of your quarterback while he's down and all that kind of stuff. I want to see the culture change in this locker room.
That still pisses me off.
I know. So I want to see the culture changing. I want to see the head coach, interacting with guys when they come off the field after they make plays and stuff like that. Bring that back to Indy like it was before and bring this winning culture back.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I mean, that Jim Irsay, I didn't even bother reading either. It's literally one of those, like, I'm not reading all that. Like, I'm sorry you feel that way, or thanks for however the stupid meme goes. Like, I'm just like, I'm with you. I don't care. I don't want to hear any words. I want to see action. You said all chips in, all of that crap. We've mocked you immensely for that.
No way. No.
Like we've mocked immensely for that. Like we don't care anymore. Stop saying something trying to be cute. Go actually do it. And like we talked about on this show, we're gonna close off here eventually. We're sitting at 4. Here's your chance for your reset. Because I don't know if you guys noticed this, but this is kind of brought to my attention. But it's like, just look at all the division winners in the league. One thing stands out. Every team that finished first in their division, with the exception of like maybe one team, had the best quarterback in said division.
Mm-hmm.
Our division, so the Jaguars won. I think you could say Trevor Lawrence is probably the best quarterback in this division. That's the bar. I don't know what you guys. Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 15 quarterback in this league.
No.
That's how close. Like, we're not that far off. I think the only team you can really argue is the NFC West. The Niners won it. I don't think Jimmy G is the best quarterback in that league, or if you want to go healthy, Brock Purdy. I think Kyler Murray's the best quarterback in that league.
Brock Purdy, man. Hey, he played well today,
He's
though.
Balling, though. He's balling. He's been balling for the past few weeks.
No, I've seen some ludicrous statements after this game, though, Rondo. I'm telling you.
And look, here's the thing with the Niners and Brock Purdy and everything. Look, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that is all Mike Shanahan.
It is.
Mike Shanahan is the true QB whisperer. MVP Matt Ryan, that was Mike Shanahan, was his OC. Obviously, Jimmy G's been playing better than he should have. Shanahan. Brock Purdy goes undefeated 5-0 in mock-up duty. Look, he's obviously got some skill. He made it to the league. He got drafted. He stayed on the roster. But I'm telling you, Mike, that's all Mike Shanahan.
I agree. I
agree as well. I agree.
And that's what we need in Indy. That's what we need in Indy. We need somebody, even if we take a mediocre quarterback. Say we trade down, which I know we probably with chances of that is slim to none. But I mean, say we trade down and we take somebody in the late first round and end up with Richardson or something like that. Even if we take him and we get somebody that can develop this kid and bring him up and coach him up, I think we'll still be fine with the team that we have right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll close it with this. Like we kind of said it. We're not in need of a rebuild. It's just a retool. We're one off season away. So we'll end it with this. We know quarterback is the most pressing need. Absolutely. Gulick, we'll start with you again. Obviously, still talking draft. And again, it's January. Obviously, things are going to change between now and April immensely. Quarterback one, what's the next two important positions that you think need to be addressed via draft?
That's a tough one for me. I am gonna say corner because you can never have enough.
True.
And this is a sleeper pick. I haven't talked about him, but center. Ryan Kelly, I think he's got to go. And there's a kid I graduated with. You guys aren't going to know who he is right now. He's going to be a third or fourth round pick. I went to high school, graduated in the same class. His name is Juice Scruggs. He's a center at Penn State. He was first team all Big Ten. He's invited to the East-West Shrine Bowl. I love this kid. He's a personal friend of mine. I think he is like, if he got drafted to the Colts, he could step in day one and be a starting center in the NFL. And that might be bold for a rookie, but he is very, very good. I mean, we see a lot of these Big Ten centers. They come into the NFL and they're quietly very good. Like we saw Jonathan Taylor, his center from Wisconsin. He's currently the Cowboys center right now. He gets no love, but he's a very good center. He holds up very well. A lot of these guys from the Big Ten, they hold up very well in the NFL. And I feel like Ryan Kelly he's like 29 or 30 right now. He's on a really big deal and he hasn't been playing well. I feel like center is one of those positions where you could find a guy in the draft. So, hey, if we could save some money, get younger at the position, besides quarterback, if we're leading a youth movement, especially up front too, hey, I'm all for it.
I got something for that, but I'm saying for another show. But I will say I like the prospect of getting a quarterback and getting a center, and they grow together. So
that's what I'm saying, man. I'm telling you.
You might be onto something there, but I'm gonna save my disagreement for another show. Marcus, hit me with it. So we know quarterback's number one on the priority list, but 2 or even 3 in this draft. What position do you think we need to acquire?
Well, I'm gonna go back to the offensive line as well. I'm gonna say the guard position on the offensive line, the right guard, and then I'm gonna go corner as well. Like I said, you can never have too many of those. As long as you can get somebody good out of the, third, fourth round pick that can come in and because there's no guarantee that we're going to keep everybody that we have on this roster right now. So like I said, we grab a young guy that can maybe play slot or just be in some key pieces coming off the bench that we need to cover in the corner in the secondary will be fine. So but my main thing, I would probably say guard. I would probably say we definitely probably need to get that guard position taken care of.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like obviously I'm thinking corner as well, but just to keep it different, I'm gonna say go get another edge. I think just like you said, you can never have enough corners.
I agree with that.
You can never have enough edge rushers either. And obviously, this year was obviously a better step in the right direction in terms of getting to the quarterback. But like I said, you can never have enough of those guys. And offside the ball, I'm with you there on guard. Guard is again where I'm really leaning towards. But just to keep it different, and because of what I said about Paris Campbell, I think you grab a receiver on day 2. You get a guy to essentially take over the Campbell role. Now your 1, 2, 3 is Pittman, Pierce, insert draft pick. There's your young nucleus on the opposite side of the ball. And like I said, you go an edge on defense.
Hey, guess what though? Nobody said left tackle. Hey, Raymond turned up at the end of the year.
He turned up.
Raymond played very good. Hey, left tackle. I'm not worried about that now.
I think we got that position settled. I think in the offseason, I think he gets bigger, he gets faster, he gets he works out with some of the players or maybe a coach or two during the offseason and get his footwork a little bit better. I think we got that position sold up right now. I think the left tackle we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, and I think a thing we all said was that obviously Jeff Saturday was a joke, but we're just like, hey, if he can fix the O-line or at least set the young guys in the right direction with the draft pick, that's enough. And like Raymond, again, I think he's going to round out to be the guy. And if that O-line is back to the Phillip Rivers year, watch out.
Absolutely. I think he came in and coached that guy, Raymond, up pretty good. I think Jeff Saturday he kind of took him under his wing. And, throughout the 8 games that he was there, he just kept giving that kid encouragement and telling him, hey, every game you're going to get better. And he has. I mean, I've noticed, what his Pro Football Focus is almost to 80 right now. So he's done well. So I think we got the position sold up. So I think on to guard and like you said, maybe an edge, and then Gulick said corner. So those three key positions I think will be fine. Main position being quarterback though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you got something.
I'll just say also, I just want to say just to piggyback off your statement, I got the game on next to me. Playoff game, Trevor Lawrence first pass attempt, interception. So I think no, seriously, first play of the game, interception. So I think I think we're getting there, guys. We're getting there.
I'm saying like the gap, at least for our division, like just the division.
Yeah, no, seriously, our division, like the gap
is not far.
Right.
Not far at all. As bad as this season was, we were still in the playoff race we didn't get officially eliminated until what, like week 15.
If you think about it, you're going into week 17, right? I think the Colts were like 4-10-1. Tennessee was 7-9.
Yeah.
Like they only had one less loss than us, and they were in contention. And I don't really see a lot of these teams getting better besides the Jags. So,
Tennessee's headed for a rebuild. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like we are not far off.
No, absolutely not. Like a few key pieces and we're back in it. You know what I'm saying? So, but the right head coach though, we definitely have to get that head coach situation right. And when I mean right, we have to pick the right guy, the perfect guy. To where you can like, yeah, this is our guy. This is what's going to happen, and then he can go in that locker room and preach the same segment to the players, and then I think we'll be fine. But they have to buy in.
Yeah, I'm with that. We said a lot here. I think it's all good stuff, and it's only January, so at least the torture is over. We get to watch good football on TV now. No more Colts destruction. And again, hey, come April, bring back the excitement. Really, even before then, there's the combine, there's pro days. a lot of more exciting stuff for us and brighter things to look forward to. I mentioned it before. I'm going to mention it again. A big shout out to Sideline Sports. First 56 has officially joined along. We are underneath that umbrella. Give them a follow on Twitter. It's scrolling right there, but at Sideline Sport, the #1. You're going to see a lot more stuff of us with them, vice versa. A lot more collabs, bigger and brighter things are going to happen. If you're not already, make sure you're following us on Twitter at First and 56. You can catch this show as well as all of our other shows, iTunes Podcast, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Anchor, Stitcher. We're coming back to those platforms. Obviously, you're still listening by this point. You guys have been absolute troopers. We've got more on the way. As always, it's off season. It's going to I think this off season is going to go quick, actually. I don't think it's going to be that much of a pain. We've got a lot to look forward to, a lot to look up to. With the off season, we'll let you know how shows are going to go. Obviously, stay tuned to our Twitter for the updates. But as for now, for myself, Gulick, and Marcus, this is 156, and we're going to sign out.